Night falls on the Constantine home. As the fugitive Janus works on Mr. Constantine's video game upstairs, the family patriarch himself heads down to see his family, for what feels like the first time in years, and to bring his children up to Janus at the stranger's request. There is a strange feeling in him, a reluctant happiness, as Mr. Constantine arrives downstairs.
Huh. My house is a lot nicer than I remember it being. I might spend a little longer down here. Except, Janus told me to get my kids upstairs? How do I even talk to my kids again?
Ben?
What is it, Dad?
Are you busy?
I'm playing right now. Why?
That Janus guy wanted to show you something, I think. He's upstairs.
Oh, okay. 5 minutes?
Right, 5 minutes. Have fun playing.
Nailed it.
Kara? Wait, Kara? 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 You there?
An elf? What? Like, from one of those fantasy stories? Like, Legolas or something?
Indeed. Although, a cursory internet search tells me Janus and his kind are not exactly like this Legolas.
How so?
For one, he has never seen the hobbits being taken to Isengard.
But I need to know more. What?
Kara, are you talking to someone in there?
Not exactly, Dad. We'll have to continue this later.
Come on, Kara. Janus wanted you upstairs for something.
Alright, Dad. Hey, you're downstairs.
Yes. Yes, I am.
We're not eating anytime soon.
No, we're not. I just wanted to make sure you're doing all right. Everything is okay, right?
Yes.
Without warning, Kara embraces her dad, happy to see him out and about at last. Confused at first, Mr. Constantine slowly returns the hug, holding it for a few seconds before stepping away.
So, Janus wanted me upstairs?
Yes, but he didn't say why. Oh, and he might be working on something on my computer. Don't pay any attention to it at all. Don't look at it. Just talk to him.
Alright then.
She starts walking towards the stairs, and stops, turning back to look at her father.
Dad,
Yes, Kara?
love you.
Love you too, Kara.
Both of them smile at one another, their grins flickering like they could disappear any minute. Then, Mr. Constantine turns away, considering going to his wife. But Ben sprints past him in the hallway, running up the stairs with his sister. Quickly, he hustles up the stairs to keep up. Coming to his office door, Mr. Constantine stops, blocking his children from entering.
Give me a minute, kids. You wait here. I'll go talk to Mr. Janus and see what he wants.
Alright, Dad.
Humph. Now I have to wait. Thanks, Dad.
Sorry, Ben. I'll be quick.
Mr. Constantine slips into his office, where Janus is still ironing out some of the video game's bugs.
Ah, Mr. Constantine. Greetings again. I am, I would estimate, halfway to finishing the rest of this work.
That's great. You've done a lot for me. Volunteered for it, even. I have to respect that. And my bosses at Heisenberg and Company will be very pleased.
It was no problem.
But you're going to leave sooner rather than later, right?
Do not worry. If all is well with your work, then I will depart tonight.
Good. No, not that I'm not thankful for what you've done for me, but I'd like to spend some time with my family tomorrow. Maybe take them for a walk or something. Can't exactly leave you home alone when we're out doing that.
I understand. Now, your children are here, correct?
Yeah, they're just outside. What exactly did you want to show them again?
Kara, Ben, you can come in now.
Wait, no.
Finally! Wait, what's on your computer, Dad?
What is that?
It's not. It's.
This is a video game, one that your father works on. I understand that this simulation is meant for relaxation and amusement, and I have been testing some of the game's code to see if it works. But I believe the most crucial test will be simply if you two enjoy playing it. Here you go.
Janus hands a shocked Ben the controller. After a moment, the youngest Constantine snatches it up. Behind him, his sister watches with raised eyebrows, while his father crosses his arms with a frown, and Janus simply sits back, smiles, and observes.
Really, Dad? Really? You made a video game? And I can play it?
Yes, Ben. I made this along with my coworkers who are counting on me, Janus. But if you want to play it, why not?
Hooray!
Wait, this is your job? This is what you do for work? How come you never told us?
You'll see. You'll see.
What's the game called, Dad?
The Wrath of Clark.
Cool! Dad, I think I'll choose this guy. Jeff.
Why him, Ben? Wouldn't you rather have someone like Henry over there? The one with the big gun? Or axe? Or both?
I like Jeff, though. He looks like an idiot.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Confirming his character selection, Ben starts the game, immediately loading into the hellscape that Janus had been working on not minutes ago. Plumes of lava spurt from volcanoes in the distance, creating winding, fiery rivers that snake through the blood-red, rocky terrain surrounding Jeff.
Huh. What is this place, Dad? This place looks, like, really hot. And why are there sharks everywhere?
This is why I didn't want you to know what I do. It doesn't even make sense to me. I just do whatever the higher-ups tell me to do.
So, what do I do now? Do I just walk around? Oh, what about that cliff? Am I supposed to go off to...
Ben, it says right there. See? Your objective is to find some lamb sauce. Wait, what? This game makes no sense, Dad.
Exactly. That's why I didn't want you to know. Honestly, I have literally no clue what the creatives were thinking with this one.
The game looks very nice, though. The graphics are very good.
With the others watching, Ben steers his character off in search of some lamb sauce. He wanders through the desolate, hellish wastelands, before coming to a rickety little shop, the first semblance of civilization. Steering his character inside, Ben comes face to face with some sort of shark human, who wears nothing but a pair of jeans and a chef's hat.
Hello there.
He attempts to initiate a conversation with this shark chef, but, failing to find the button, quickly becomes enraged.
I won't you talk to me.
Here, Ben, let me do it. See? There we go. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Greetings! I am the Shark Chef, culinary extraordinaire. I have studied every dish in the known universe. Ingredients of every kind bend to my will. Can I help you with anything?
Do you know where I could find some lamb sauce?
Why? Surely you know that simply speaking of such a vile, forbidden thing would displease him.
Who?
Suddenly, the roof of the shop is torn open by a gigantic robot with a completely blank, emotionless face. He dwarfs the avatar Jeff dozens of times over, and his eyes glow with a terrifying red as he snatches the shark chef and Jeff in the palm of his hand.
Roar!
He raises them to his face. His eyes stare into their souls. The face of mercy. This is not.
I am Clark the God Robot, destroyer of worlds, master chef of this Hex kitchen. And now I judge you for your last mistake.
Is that supposed to be the boss, Dad?
Yep. Apparently the higher-ups thought it was a good idea. Oh, look out, you two.
Casually, the god robot tosses the two characters up in the air, though Ben's avatar falls to the ground with a crunch. taking massive damage. The shark chef falls right into Clark's mouth, and the deity-like machine swallows him whole.
Alp?
In the top right of the screen, the objective changes from find some lamb sauce to survive.
Clark ate the shark! Clark ate the shark!
Run, Ben, run!
Roar!
Go, go, go!
He's catching up!
Quick, over that river!
Roar!
There's no way to cross! He's gonna get us!
Sure enough, the gargantuan robot finally catches up, closing in on the kill.
Lamb sauce? How dare you!
Maliciously, mercilessly, Clark crushes Jeff like an ant beneath his feet.
Game over. You have suffered the wrath of Clark.
Awestruck, Ben puts down the controller. Slowly, he and Kara look over at their father.
Dad?
Yeah? What do you think? Did you hate it?
I have absolutely no idea what I just played. But it was fun.
Yeah, Dad, it looks really confusing, but it's really detailed and cool looking. And I like the part where Ben got crushed by a giant robot.
I do too.
Well, I suppose that's all that matters. And everything looked like it was working, so that's good.
Can I try again?
I don't see why not. Have fun, Ben.
You know, Clark reminds me of this figure I have. Reckon Spira the Fourth.
Wreck-It? Wait, which one is that?
The robot warrior. With the yellow armor.
Oh, sorry, I don't know that one, Ben. But maybe you can tell me all about that figure. And some of your other ones, too.
Really? You mean it, Dad?
Sure. Why don't you tell me one of your stories tomorrow? Not right now, though. I still need to do some work here after you're done.
Alright.
He turns back to the video game, spawning in again and almost immediately getting eaten by a giant wolf. Kara, surprised and amazed by what is happening before her eyes, laughs along with her father and brother as they watch poor Jeff journey through the ruinous lands for the wrath of Clark. And for that moment, the Constantines are closer together than they have been in a long, long time. In fact, they are so close and having so much fun that none of them realize Janus had slipped out of the room minutes ago. After leaving the Constantine office, Janus headed downstairs, gathering up his things. He made sure that he had everything he needed, double and triple checking his bag, before he swung it over his shoulder and headed towards the front door. As he did, he noticed Mrs. Constantine sitting at her dinner table, a lonely figure in a lonely light. Looking upon her strained expression and creased eyebrows, Janus frowned with sympathy.
She has reason to be concerned, of course. Her family has been so estranged from one another. But they are connecting, and she sits here alone. Again, I can see her worry, but she remains passive all the same. I have aided the other Constantines, and now I must help the last of them.
Janus steps towards Mrs. Constantine and takes a seat at the table.
Good evening, Mrs. Constantine.
Oh, good evening. I'm sorry, I must have drifted off.
No worries. I do much the same when I am thinking. I want to thank you again for letting me into your home.
It's no problem. When I saw you outside yesterday, it was yesterday, wasn't it? I just knew I had to help you, so I did.
And I am grateful for that. A day's respite from my travels is all too valuable to me. I would like to help you in return.
Oh? With what?
Your family. You are distant from them as they were distant from one another, but yours, I think, is a different kind of estrangement.
Mrs. Constantine stares on, her gaze becoming more serious, as Janus elaborates.
It is not that you could be content alone like your son, or wish to be alone like your husband. I do not think you can stand to be alone. You care too deeply for your family. Your face says it all. I knew many like you in my home, who looked at their family with encouragement and hope, and faith and pride. But your love is tinged with worry?
Of course I'm worried about my family. There's so many things in their lives that could go wrong, that has gone wrong.
And yet you do not try to steer them right. Your husband has been working at his pace for weeks, has he not?
There's nothing I can do about Ryan's work. Nothing I can say. He won't listen.
Perhaps. But you didn't try. My apologies, by the way, if you take offense. But you didn't even try to make him see what was right before his eyes.
What's the use? He's not going to change. None of them are. They're my family and I love them all, but they're not going to magically come back together. Are they?
No. You're right. They're not. Not if you continue to stand by as you have done. I am sorry if I may sound too critical. Perhaps I should show you, instead of telling you what I mean.
He stands up and takes the cup of crushed, dead flowers he gathered earlier. As Mrs. Constantine watches in confusion, Janus balls up a fist and uses his knuckles to grind the petals to dust. From his satchel, he adds a little bit of oil, the very same he had used to access the mindscape earlier, and pours it atop this mush. Now, Janus turns away, blocking the cup from Mrs. Constantine's view. What he does next, she does not know. All she sees is a flash of purple light, before Janus turns around and places the cup on the table in front of her, the contents now aflame.
What's that supposed to be?
It's a bit of alchemy from my home. This was never my area of expertise, and my ingredients are only substitutes, but they will suffice.
Suffice? For what? What's it supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
As she says that, a purple haze begins to waft out of the cup. Without even realizing it, Mrs. Constantine inhales a bit of the smoke. Her head tilts back. She closes her eyes. And suddenly, the Constantine home around her is dark. Janus has vanished. She is alone.
Janus? What's going on?
She gets up and walks around, trying to make some sense of the darkened house. A glance out the window reveals not the streets around her home, but a black chasm, slowly swirling in the wind.
That's weird.
Then, a trio of voices call out from behind her.
Mom?
Mom?
Claire?
Mrs. Constantine whips around, and, sure enough, the rest of her family stand just across the house from her. They're shrouded in darkness, each of their expressions subtly contorted in stress and fear.
What's wrong? Is everything okay?
The other Constantines do not reply, their 1,000-yard stares continuing.
Something's not right here. You look so sad. Be happy. Smile, why don't you?
Okay, we will.
We will.
But the spectral Constantines remain anxious, and only grow more and more fearful as Mrs. Constantine looks on. Their mouths grow into grimaces of agony, and as they do, Mrs. Constantine's worry grows.
What's going on? Tell me. Let me help you.
There is no reply. The palpable wrongness of the whole situation continues to hang on Mrs. Constantine, and slowly, she takes a single step towards her family.
I can't leave them like this. If I could lend a helping hand, ease a little bit of their pain.
She takes another step towards the rest of her family, then another. Her initially shaking hands slowly stabilize as she approaches them. But as Mrs. Constantine comes closer to her family, the stress seems to compound, and she stops, doubting herself.
Maybe I should leave them be. They'll take care of themselves, won't they? I don't want to make things worse. Maybe they don't need me. Don't need my help. What if...
Suddenly, from the darkness behind the three Constantines, a giant figure emerges. One that she is all too familiar with. One that makes her think of all the crushing work that Mr. Constantine has to suffer. One that keeps her family apart. One that she is allowed to keep her family apart. The emotionless, terrifying face of Clark the God Robot. With a frightening casualness, Clark's gigantic hand snatches up all three Constantines. As Clark begins to drag the Constantines into the darkness, something clicks in Mrs. Constantine. Exactly like when she saw pitiful Janus on her doorstep, she knows she has to act, and so she does. She rushes towards the giant automaton, knowing how futile it might be, but trying to free her family nonetheless. She dives towards Clark, as the robot falls into the midnight void. And she falls with him. She does not know where she is falling, or how long she will fall, but she does not care. Mrs. Constantine is solely focused on saving the other Constantines. She thrashes about, striking Clark as best she can, as the god robot stares back with soulless eyes.
Let my family go!
Her punches and struggling do not free your family at first. In fact, they seem totally ineffectual altogether. But with every hit, she sees a flashing image. She sees herself leading Mr. Constantine and their kids on some adventure in the woods.
Come on, everyone! This way! There's a really nice spot by the river down here.
Watching Ben tell stories and roll dice at a table filled with figures and other kids his age.
And then you go right into the goblin horde, and they go, "Rawr!" And so you go, slash, swash, swash, pew, pew, pew.
Encouraging Kara, who sits at a busy table full of astral tools, scientific books, and a many-sided prism to pursue a goal of hers.
Kara, you're smart enough to do whatever you want to. So if you want to go into astrophysics, just do it. Your father and I both know you'll be great at it. Now why don't I help you with getting started?
And finally, the whole family, sitting together around the dinner table, laughing and smiling as one. That is the sweetest image among these potential futures that she can bring about herself by acting as she is now. As if to drive home the point, her repeated strikes against Clark finally take effect. The robot lets go and vanishes into nothingness, and for a moment Mrs. Constantine can look upon her family, free and happy again. Then, she blinks for a second. And now Mrs. Constantine is sitting back at her dinner table. She is awake again. Janus is before her, calmly breathing. The faintest wisps of a purple cloud still surround her, but those are dissipating quickly.
What? What was that?
A vision invoked by this remedy.
That's what it was? A vision? But it was also real.
In a sense, it is. That waking dream shows you some of your greatest fears, the present state of your family in some way, I assume, and some of your greatest desires. Your family together again. Isn't that right?
How did you know that?
I know how this vision works. I saw people like you where I come from, who had similar stories to tell. It was not hard to deduce. How do you feel?
Confused. I feel like I was doing things, helping my family, showing them things to do. And it worked. And we were happy. But will that really work? Will that really bring my family back together again?
It will not be perfect or ideal, as the visions would have you believe, but yes, it will.
I don't know. I don't think I can do that. Maybe I should just leave them be.
You don't think you can help them? You did not hesitate to help me, and you had no attachment to me. So do not fear helping those you are closest to. You'll succeed and they will reward you greatly. If you fail, they will always forgive you. Always.
As Mrs. Constantine nods along, taking this in, Janus looks at the window. It is getting late, and Janus heads towards the door, before stopping and turning back to Mrs. Constantine.
Remember what I have told you, what I have shown you. Remember your dream, Mrs. Constantine. That is my gift to you. Thank you again for your hospitality, and good night.
With that, Janus steps out the door and into the night, leaving a stunned Mrs. Constantine to process the events she had just experienced. And she begins to consider maybe, just maybe, she may take Janus's advice. Upstairs, Mr. Constantine's office, Kara is the first to catch on to the stranger's disappearance. While her father watches her brother play through the wrath of Clark, Kara lets herself out of the room as quietly as she can, and creeps down the stairs in search of Janus.
It's all his doing, isn't it? It's amazing. Dad finally came downstairs and he and Ben are spending time together again. And once Mom finds out, I'm sure she'll be a part of this too. But how did Janus do all this? Dad was refusing to leave his room just a day or two ago. Now it's like his work disappeared. I need to know how he did this, to make sure this isn't just some mirage of some sort, to make sure this lasts.
Kara, what's going on upstairs? Isn't Ryan working?
Not anymore. Did you see Janus around, Mom?
Oh, yes. He and I were just talking. He told me some interesting things.
I'm sure. So, where is he?
He's just outside.
Got it. I think I'll take his phone to him. It's this one, right?
Yes, but it's still broken. We haven't had a chance to fix it.
I just want to talk to him about it.
Oh, alright.
What are you doing out here? Wasting your time stargazing?
Precisely. I will miss this place, as I will miss you and your family. I hope I have made your lives a little better. Your brother has his toys, and more importantly, the stories they come with. Your father has some important rest, his familial connections again. Your mother has hopefully been sparked to action. And you, Kara, you've certainly found Mont by now?
You knew? You were surprised that I didn't take the prism in the morning, but you still expected me to solve it?
More or less. From what I have seen, your quest for knowledge, it knows no bounds. I knew you could not resist a puzzle eventually. I trust he has brought you some enlightenment?
More than that. He told me who you are.
I do not see what you would gain from that. I've said numerous times before, I am a fugitive, on the run from a law that has wrongfully accused me. I am a bearer of gifts, a son of my native land. I am a student of my home and of all you Constantines have taught me, and for that I will always be grateful.
But you're more than that, aren't you? What was it? Sharu Niso? Peace by the light of the moon? That's your real name, isn't it? Something like that? You're not just a fugitive. You don't know this world. I could tell from the moment you opened your mouth, and now I know why. You're not human.
Not human indeed. How cruel you would sound to any other of your people. But to me, no point in denying it. Although you're not getting the full picture from Mont.
He told me enough. He called you an elf. Like from a fantasy or something.
Elf. 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 So that is your word for us.
Janus draws back his hood and pulls back his long, orange hair, revealing a sharply pointed ear.
We call ourselves the Olivier, people of silence. Supposing that whispers of our people may have reached yours long ago, I can see how our name may have become elf among your people. Do not worry though. We rarely concern ourselves with humans, part of the reason why we are called silent. You have nothing to fear from the Olivier.
Isn't the name a part of whatever you call your homeland?
Yes. Elevachidium. Roughly, the people of silences, the elves' spiritual fulcrum. A secret place, hidden entirely from the human world. This is why you have never heard of my home. We, elves, do not leave home often. But Elevachidium is not simply a place of residence, but an ideal. A belief around which our spirits and minds revolve. We have everything we could want, the space and time and knowledge and resources to do what we love for the betterment of all. More or less, that is.
Sounds great. But if you could make Mont from nothing but what we had lying around, you said yesterday you made some device with some guy that died over that device. What was it?
Something incredible. And incredibly terrifying.
But that doesn't answer the question. If Mont was some throwaway gift, what piece of wizardry did you make that was worth running over? What?
Janus cuts her off, casually reaching into a satchel. From it, he produces a box-like machine, with what seems to be a headset at one end. A small needle is folded into the side, with a couple of knobs and switches along the body of the purple-accented metal apparatus.
Truly, your desire to know is insatiable. Much like mine when I was your age. Does it satisfy your expectation?
A radio? Seriously? You made a hyper-advanced AI out of a box of scraps, and you are running from the elvish authorities who are real over a radio?
No, not a radio. You must understand that my people are not merely gifted technologically, intellectually. We are gifted in other ways, in magical ways.
Janus gazes into the palm of his hand and focuses. After a few moments, a burst of purple flame sparks into existence, lighting the darkened porch with dancing violet hues.
Whoa.
We Olivier hold great powers. We are connected to an otherworldly energy that we can wield to our benefit, and it guides us in turn.
He closes his fist with a flourish, extinguishing the flame completely.
This doorway device, as I call it, strips elves, and anyone else who is likewise empowered, of their connection to this energy, to rob us of our powers like so. It is an achievement that has been attempted by many, but never before with such flawlessness as this. The scion who made this with me, I suspect, would have used it to consolidate absolute power over the Olivier. Like I said when we first met, I could not allow that. I could not allow all we hold precious to be stolen from us, nor allow our natural order to be usurped by the scion. So I did what I must.
Why are you telling me this? If the elfish authorities are chasing you, will they come after me now? After my family? Are we in danger?
You would have asked Mont these questions sooner or later. Better to tell you myself. And my pursuers, they will not concern yourselves with you. As long as you do not make them, you must keep this to yourself, you understand? Keep it to you and your family. Tell them they deserve that. Then swear them to silence, and my people will repay you in kind.
Okay, but I still don't understand. If you can make Mont, if you could create something to steal magical powers, why not fix your phone? That was all you were supposed to be here for, right?
Suddenly, something within Janus' satchel buzzes, and Janus slyly reaches inside, pulling out another burner phone. It is almost identical to the shattered one that Kara holds, yet is in perfect condition.
It was a trick. It was all a trick to hide here with us from the elves.
With a tap, Janus silences his phone, then nods.
It was, and I apologize for the deception.
I hate that you did that, but I think it was good that you did.
That's right. Now, my phone has warned me to imminent danger. I had better get a move on.
No, wait, stop.
Hmm?
How did you do it? Fix my family? We were so far apart, and then you came along, and it's like everything's perfect now. How?
There is so much I want to say about this, Kara Constantine, but I have not the time. Simply, though, I did not fix your family, because you were never broken. Only temporarily distant. You humans seem to accept being apart. You even force it upon one another. But in my home, we consider everyone family. We learn to deal with one another, to trust in one another, to serve one another, even in times of hardship. You had forgotten those lessons. I simply reminded you of them.
But how? How do I get them to... How do I make sure that we stay together?
The truth is, you cannot. Your family had to be a little far from one another. For a time. You grow closer again now, and in the coming years you will grow distant, then draw back together again, like the planets to the sun. You will need to. But trust your family, and do not hesitate to help them in any way needed. That is your power. All of you. Let nothing, not even yourselves, take that power.
You say that, but you don't trust your family, the elves, do you? You ran. You don't trust them to accept the truth.
Standing, Janus puts his doorway device back in his satchel and smiles.
Well, what can I say? The world and the people in it are rarely perfect and often unforgiving. That includes your family as much as mine. The road ahead may not always be smooth, but I urge you to take my advice nonetheless.
He glances over at Kara's pocket, where at the very tip of the Olivier puzzle, Mont's prism is sticking out.
If you brought Mont here to return him to me, do not. He is a gift to you. He will help you more than he could help me. But he cannot do that if you do not endeavor to help your family. He cannot take that step for you. Do you understand?
I guess so.
Good. Be grateful for what you have, Kara Constantine. Keep dreaming. Keep questioning. Keep learning. Trust your family and take care of one another.
With a final nod at Kara, Janus gets up and steps back into the Constantine home. Kara, after taking a moment to process this, follows swiftly. Inside, they're greeted by the sight of the other three Constantines, sitting around the table, smiling at one another.
Ah, Mr. Constantine. I take it your tests went well?
Yes, well enough that I can just take a moment. Be with Claire and the kids. The rest of it will be done, sure. But this is more important to me right now.
Oh, it is good to see you down here again, Ryan. And don't worry, I'll do everything I can to keep him this way.
I am pleased to hear that.
What is it, Mr. Janus? Why so sad?
Nothing. I merely wish you to know this is the last time we will speak. I am beyond thankful that our paths crossed. You are the first humans I truly have gotten the chance to know. But this is where we must part ways.
Are you sure? What about your phone?
I have everything I need. I simply wanted to say thank you.
With a pouty frown on his face, young Ben runs up to Janus, looking up at him with tears in his eyes.
I'm going to miss you, Mr. Janus.
Don't worry. Who am I compared to your family?
Ben is confused at first, tilting his head to the side, before Janus nods over at the other Constantines. With only a glimpse of his parents' warm, reassuring smiles, Ben knew at once that everything would be just fine.
All right, Janus Claus. Thanks for all the presents again.
Janus Claus. I thank you for this gift, Ben Constantine. That is a good name. A human name, if I understand it correctly. It will do nicely.
But you have somewhere to go, right?
Somewhere for sure, though where precisely I look forward to discovering. But my time in your home has ended.
At least stay one more night. I don't think any of us want you to go, and you'd be crazy to go out there this late.
Actions, not words, Mrs. Constantine. And in any case, there's nothing you could do to convince me to stay. I have burdened you far more than you deserve. I have the moon and the stars to light my way, and the magic of my people to guide me. I have my own path to walk, and you have yours.
Wait, Magic? What do you mean, Mr. Janus?
He's an elf, Ben.
An elf?
Janus can see the sheer amazement that those simple words had given to the young boy. Indeed, he can see the inspiration they had given to each of the Constantines, reflected in their warm, respecting, imaginative, curious eyes. He raises a finger to his lips, and it bursts to flame for just a second, before he places his hand on his heart in an arrow-like formation.
Until we have need of one another again. Goodbye, Constantines.
Goodbye!
Farewell, and thank you again.
Bye. Ben, aren't you going to say goodbye?
Ben stands there shocked, blinking once and twice and 3 times. Suddenly, he rushes forth, wondering which of the other legends he loved were true.
What about fairies, dwarves, dragons, trees? Are those real too?
He rushes out the door, looking around the street to ask Janus about the matter.
Mr. Janus, do you know of any dragons? Do you...
But the stranger is already gone. Disappointed, Ben's face falls. He searches the darkness for Janus to no avail. But before his sadness can overwhelm him entirely,
Ben!
I think he's gone, Ben.
But we're right here.
the young Constantine looks back at his loving family. He cannot help but smile, and then rushes inside, embracing his family. In the years to come, they will heed Janus's words. Just as he predicted, there are moments when they grow far apart, but they never forget one another again. Not like they nearly did just a day or two before. The Constantines will support one another always, and watch with pride as they grow into the people they always thought they could be. And for that moment, the Constantines are simply one, together again. Meanwhile, Janus strides down the nighttime streets of Los Angeles, intending to move on to the next place, and the next. He smiles to himself, pleased with what he has done and what he has learned.
It's strange. In less than 2 days up close, I've learned more about humans than in 21 years at home. What they value, what they can do, how their families can grow apart and come together again. They have as many flaws as my people, if not more. But likewise, they have just as great a potential to imagine, like Ben, to learn like Kara, and to create and feel like the parents. But if only they have the faith and will to act on it, maybe that is what I can give these humans as I travel. Maybe that is how I can impact their lives for the better.
As he treks up towards the top of the once distant hill, Janus keeps his eyes up in the sky, looking at the stars that the astronomers of his home will be charting at this time of night.
The stars. Constant in so many ways, yet subjective as all else is. The stars can guide us, yet with so many they can lead us astray too. Well, now I follow only one star. Mine. I believe I may just enjoy life more like this, wandering these lands alone, being the gatekeeper between their world and mine. We did not think much of humans in Elevachidium. Now I have the chance to, and the chance to teach them in kind. Yes. I think I will walk the line between Elevachidium and the human world until I get caught, or I am welcome back, or I die.
His dark cloak masking to the occasional passerby, Janus arrives at the top of the hill. Kneeling in a courtyard in front of a large observatory, he pulls out his doorway device and extends a paneled radar dish from the top. Janus points this towards the moon and watches as a bar on the side of the device slowly fills up with the charge. He has absolutely no intentions of using the device, but merely wants to give it enough energy to regulate itself and prevent a catastrophic burnout. His repairs at the Constantine house ensure that the device can store enough energy for months to come, and once the charge is complete, Janus placed the device back into a satchel, looking up at the moon once more.
Who knows where I shall end up next? I cannot stay in one place for long, of course. But there are so many unexplored worlds on the horizon. So many people that I have not yet met, whose lives I can change for the better. So much to discover and to learn. I cannot wait to see where my wanderings take me next.
Taking in the fresh California air, Janus then begins to head off again, letting his instincts and his power guide him. There is no sound save for the light whisper of the wind, the crunch of his feet against gravel, and the chirping of nocturnal nature. Through the darkened streets and over the empty roads, he walks alone. As the moon crosses the night sky, he leaves town entirely, following a barely used highway further inland. And once this stretch of road leads him to the middle of nowhere, leaving him isolated and surrounded by nothing but desert. He stops, glances over his shoulder.
I know you are there, silently stalking me. Krakora agents, no doubt. Show yourselves.
In the darkness, there is no response at first. Then a car zooms by, then another, illuminating a trio of figures behind Janus and casting their shadows onto him. The leader of these figures steps forward, wearing an intricately adorned mask. A necklace of engraved totems is tucked beneath the tactical uniform she wears, which covers her head to toe to absorb slashes, strikes, or flames. Beside her, two more armored figures step forward, with similar masks and slightly inferior tombs of rank.
Jarunoiso, for your crimes of espionage, larceny, and murder, you are hereby placed under arrest in the name of the citizens and scions of Elevahilium.
Ah, how nice to see you again, really. And Kraf and Zane, I assume. Of course it would be you three. Could Marie not make it?
Marie was transferred to a long-term undercover mission this afternoon, but she'll be happy to hear we've apprehended you all the same.
You do not want to do this, really. We were friends once. There are machinations occurring that none of us fully understand yet. Just listen to me.
I'm done listening to you, Jaru. Listen to yourself. So calm. Like you don't even care what you did. You know, I'm glad Marie got transferred. Now, this victory will be mine. I get to bring you to justice. I get to capture you.
Captured? It will not be that easy, my old friends.
Then, suddenly, Janus throws out his hands, sending a swirl of purple flames around him. A tornado of fire spins around him, illuminating the night, and Janus hopes that this is the end of it for a moment. But one by one, the Krakora warriors get back on their feet, raising their fists, which also burst aflame with Elivia magic.
You think a little fire will stop us? We came all this way, Jaru. We're not going down without a fight.
Janus smiles.
Neither am I.